I'm here with Jane Egerton Idehen, who is the sales director for Africa and the Middle East for Facebook, who's going to just have a brief chat with us and give us some insight into her thinking around soft skills. Jane, you know that we've got a course called Essential Business Skills, which focuses a lot on what we call soft skills, things like time management, emotional intelligence, teamwork, critical thinking. But what are your thoughts on the importance of soft skills in today's world? Because we're hearing their increasing importance, but a lot of people don't understand just how significant they are.
I think they're very significant because it's literally some of the requirements companies, organizations are asking for. One way to put it is to say there was a LinkedIn report for 2020. They do like a future of work report. LinkedIn does this research. I think they interviewed about 1,000 companies or so. And from that report, there were 5 soft skills they ranked as the key skills for 2020. I don't think they've done for 2021. And there were 10 hard skills. Now, what is interesting is the ratio. Who would have thought at some point we'll be needing almost 50% of those skill sets are from soft skills. So things like you said, like critical learning, creativity, collaboration, adaptability, emotional intelligence are becoming more important. And we can't underrate it. It could also be because of the way things have evolved. Think about COVID, the future of work, automation is making it in a way that some of these hard skills can be automated, and you don't need, in terms of the workforce, you don't need like the amount of people you would have required or the amount of skill set as in the past. So what's becoming more important in the workplace is more soft skills. So yeah.
And that's really interesting, yeah. So you think that the automation around a lot of people's roles now means that a lot of the things you might have had to have learned academically actually can be done by computer systems and technology, and actually your ability to communicate what's going on is just as important.
Important, because then you have to do what the machines or what AI cannot do, what artificial intelligence and robots cannot do, is what we'll be seeking for. So those will be the soft skills, because we haven't been able to get the robots to do that yet.
So when you're interviewing someone, then what are you specifically looking for in the soft skills side of things?
Maybe one way I could try and explain this is to say the method we've used. So in the past, at least for companies I've worked for in the past 15 years plus, we've used what we call the behavioral based interview method. And literally we're looking for your behaviors in certain situations. And I think the best way to say it is like we're looking for your soft skills. The hard skills not really the problem, because you can always show that with your certifications or qualifications. But we're looking for how do you react to certain situations? What will be your behavior? And that's really your soft skills, because that will determine how you will function in the organization. It gives us a clue how you'll be able to adapt, work in teams, what will be your style in collaborating, in solving problems, how you critically think. And most times, if you notice in those interviews, we're not asking you for scenarios where it probably is work. We're even open to scenarios outside work, because it's we're more interested in, and not the fact that it happened at work. So if I was going to ask you a question on creativity, to be, tell me one time you thought you were very creative, and what did you do? What was the outcome? And why were you happy about it? What was the result? And I wouldn't be insisting it has to be in an office environment. It could be something to do with your family, your friends, but a situation where you thought you were quite creative. So if people understand that, they begin to see that the trend is more soft skills for most of the companies or the organizations, and that's why we're interviewing that way. And that's why we're assessing people in that manner. We're no longer too worried about, I studied engineering or I studied chemistry, because really with the future of work, those lines will be blurred. So your hard skills would the lines will be blurred, because sectors and industries will really merge in a way that those hard skills can fit in anywhere. What will be transferable, that will be key, will be your soft skills. And you should be able to transfer them as you evolve in your career.
I guess as well that a lot of these interviews now, they can be 2 or 3 interviews. So At the same time, there's a lot of testing competencies in interviews using the examples that you're saying. So the more au fait you are with soft skills, the more you can bring them into an interview environment and actually, make it look like you can already do the job before you've even been employed.
Exactly, because that's what we are looking for. Because those examples you're giving us, you're trying to articulate how you have behaved in those situations. So we are actually looking for those competencies.
So people can hit the ground running as soon as they get into organizations. I guess that industry is moving very fast at the moment, particularly the industry that you're involved in, obviously, at Facebook. So what would you say to someone that was looking to get into these new job roles and get into a lot of these new opportunities that are out there at the moment?
Well, I would say to really invest your time in seeking how you can grow or evolve or develop your soft skills is really important. Skills are kind of easier to acquire. You go for a training, probably in the office at work, or you study, for a course at university. Soft skills you have to be more intentional, because things like emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-management, you have to pay more attention to your own innate ability, your personality, your character. So it requires a bit more rigor. And for a long time, I don't know why we call this soft skills. Probably everybody thought it wasn't that important. Kind of neglected it because you felt, it doesn't really matter. They're soft skills. So you notice most times you're not taught at school, and some of this is probably you can't be the way the school environment or academics has been for now. They can't teach you that. Go to school to learn collaboration and teamwork. Maybe in teaching you some type of courses, they force you to do critical thinking, but not in all. It's almost like it's selective. Now, this is not important if you're going to work in the environment where the workforce is actually demanding that you have those types of skills. So it means that you probably have to invest to get them. And I've always
have a good understanding, I think, of where you are now. I mean, one of the most important things for me is always reflection. Understanding where your weaknesses are, understanding where your strengths are, knowing or having those avenues that means that you can adapt and change your approach where you needed to. When you get a job, you don't just stay the same person, do you? You evolve and change around the job, and you have to understand how to do that.
And even jobs are now requiring that you have a bit of adaptability, because those things, I think COVID has made it clear that people have to learn to adapt. Situations, environment, the job itself. There's so many changes that would happen in the midst of your career that skill set is actually important for you to be resilient on the job. So I would say it's something people have to be a bit more deliberate, especially if you want to grow your career. Your hard skills can take you to a certain level, but I think to go up, your soft skills will be the determining factor.
Yeah, and you have to be alive to learn new ones, I think, as well, all the time. I learn all the time in my role, but I'm not academically learning anything on top of what I did at university or anything along those lines. So, and that's interesting. And working with others as well is obviously really important. What do you think is the secret to a successful team? That's a very difficult question, I know, because everyone asks that sort of question. But what in your experience is the secret to a good team?
When you say secret, it means something that is hidden and people are not aware. Sometimes it's actually obvious.
Tell us the secret.
It's like it's hidden, no one sees it. The obvious one, the very obvious one, is teamwork and collaboration. Because if you're going to work with people, and sometimes it's a diverse environment, teamwork, collaboration is important. But if you really drill down, I personally feel some very key skill sets is emotional intelligence. Because self-awareness, self-managing, self-learning, empathy, motivation, you require those to navigate the team dynamics. And you're going to use that knowledge also to fuel the team, to know the right time to bring up an issue. Imagine in a team, there could be tension. But doesn't mean that what you're trying to say is not valid or the point you're trying to make. But just knowing that this is not the right time, if there's so much conflict right now, or this is not the right manner. Those things, they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you how to maneuver that. And that takes a lot of emotional intelligence. So those are quite important, because we just don't want a team where we throw people in and tell them, teamwork and collaborate. To make the team effective and to produce that the output is high, emotional intelligence is important, because they're different people, different personalities, diverse characteristics, acquired skills. But just being self-aware and being a bit more aware of your team, because you have to be aware of your own strengths. Being aware of your strengths gives you the confidence to know what you're contributing to the team. But also being aware of your teammates' strengths allows you know when best to apply that and when best to pull that in. So all that dynamics is also important.
Is conflict a good thing or a bad thing?
Conflict is not a good or bad thing, it's neutral. I think conflict is a tool, it's just an indicator. Once you bring two people together, that's already a diverse team. There are no two individuals that are exactly alike. Even though they have the same hard skills, their soft skills will slightly be different on different tangents, or different ranking. So that's already a diverse team. We've been pushing this notion about, the good thing with diversity is the fact that it helps you solve complex problems, it's really important in helping organizations solve complex problems. But the reality is that with diversity comes conflict. But I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just one of the outcomes of having two or more different, people work together. The important thing is what you do with the conflict. It's just an indicator of everybody showing their preference. And it's what you do with the conflict. So,
as you know, our Essential Business Skills course has conflict resolution in it, but it also states conflict is inevitable, has to happen. It's about what you do with it, as you say, how to turn that conflict into something productive.
Paul, if there's no conflict, you should be worried.
Yeah. Yeah. If everyone is agreeing, then I think that there's a problem, isn't there?
Yes, and you'll probably see that you lack a bit of innovation and creativity.
Yeah.
Nobody challenging the status quo, and nobody's trying to think outside the box. So that's really not a good sign.
So thank you so much for the time. It's been really fantastic. Thank you.